What if I told you that the biggest statue on Earth isn't just sitting there looking pretty, but it's actually guarding some seriously sketchy secrets buried way, way down underneath? Yo, what is up, you magnificent science fanatics? We are talking about the Great Sphinx of Giza today. This massive, stone-carved beast sitting out in the desert looking all ancient and mysterious. This thing is huge. We're talking 241 feet long and 66 feet tall. But forget the size for 1 second, because the real story is what's hidden beneath its paws. This thing is basically a cosmic bouncer, and rumor has it there's some unbreakable secret locked away in the dark chambers under its base. Ever since they finally dug this hybrid lion-human thing completely out of the sand back in the roaring 20s and 30s, seriously, it was buried up to its neck. People have been losing their minds trying to figure out how old it actually is and what kind of mind-blowing, shadow-filled stuff it's been chilling with down in the dirt for millennia. All right, let's talk about the deep mysteries versus what the standard archaeology textbooks want you to believe about this giant Sphinx statue. They look at this thing and say, nope, King Khafre around 2550 BC totally carved this out of his own rock while he was having a major god complex. It's clearly him, disguised as Horus in his Hor-Emaket form. Case closed. They claim it was carved directly out of the Giza bedrock, a solid single monolith, sliced right out of the limestone fabric of the plateau. Bam! Science settled. But hold the phone, people, because this seemingly ironclad textbook version, it's starting to crack wider than an old phone screen dropped on concrete. And why? Because we've got this growing tidal wave of super unsettling claims and alternative theories bubbling up, all focused on two huge geological red flags that basically scream, hey, maybe you got the timeline wrong. First up, we have the catastrophic chronology crisis. We're talking theories suggesting the Sphinx is way older than the cozy narrative they feed us. We're talking potentially going back to 10,500 BC. Imagine that timeline. We're talking pre-dynastic, way before the pharaohs even had decent plumbing. Geologist Robert Schoch, rocking that seriously suspicious geological survey, points out something nuts. The erosion pattern on the Sphinx's body isn't the typical wind and sand scratch marks you expect out in the desert. Nope, he argues that the weathering patterns look exactly like they came from heavy, sustained rainfall and massive flooding. That puts its original carving smack dab in the forgotten pluvial age, a totally different climate era. That's like finding a pristine 1950s Cadillac buried in an ice cave. It just doesn't match the environment it's supposed to be in. Then we hit red flag number 2, the mysterious structural void. Is this colossal hunk of stone actually just an impenetrable block of rock, as the archaeologists insist? Or, and this is where I get spooky, is it just an outer shell hiding a massive, complex network of secret tunnels and chambers burrowed deep into the earth underneath? Is this thing hollow? Ooh. Now the official stance, the stone-cold stance, archaeologists go silent under pressure, in what feels like a desperate move to just squash these frankly awesome, slightly demonic theories. Egyptian archaeologists have been digging and surveying like crazy. Dr. Zahi Hawass, bless his heart, repeats this incessantly. Their scientific work, including digging 32 ridiculously deep holes, we're talking 20 meters deep, people, all around the base of the Sphinx, proved there are 0 hidden passages or secret rooms. He hammers the point home. The Sphinx is solid rock. Those 4 little alcoves, just surface scratches from erosion over millennia, or meaningless structural cracks. Solid. End of story. Yeah, right.
But here's where the official story gets seriously upended, leading to the emergence of phantom pillars and ghosts of a lost city. In direct, catastrophic contrast to the official drilling data, advanced geophysical surveys are coming in hot with findings that challenge the very boundaries of accepted archaeological reality. In recent years, research teams, most notably an Italian crew using fancy Doppler tomography imaging, have announced discoveries that seriously shake things up. These terrifying scans suggest the presence of huge vertical formations directly under the Sphinx's base, connecting to massive chambers breathing deep below ground. Some of the most spine-chilling claims reported include a massive vertical shaft they spotted, circled by a spiral staircase plunging down from the center of the base, abyssal rooms dropping down an unbelievable 2,000 feet, and another one at 4,000 feet. That's nearly 600 meters below the surface, and an interconnected network suggesting a vast subterranean complex or even an underground city stretching beneath the entire Giza Plateau, possibly linked to the mythical Hall of Records. These phantom pillars spotted by radar, which the official archaeologists dismiss as just digital noise, blow the door wide open to the most terrifying question of all. So, the goal of this systemic analysis, separating the evidence from the insanity. We have this absolutely brutal contradiction. Egyptologists screaming solid rock, while geophysicists are pointing at scans showing massive architectural structures hundreds of meters deep. This has created a massive, fatal knowledge gap. This analysis right here, we're trying to cut through the hurricane of rumors and the wild conspiracy theories. We're diving headfirst into a comparative scientific analysis to figure out if these observed formations, which look suspiciously like built columns, are the actual construction remnants of a forgotten civilization that predates the pharaohs, or if they are just geological freakouts, those natural wind and water sculpted things called yardangs that formed over terrifyingly long epochs. Are these the leftovers of Atlantis Junior, or just echoes in the sedimentary structure of the Giza Plateau itself? That's what we're digging for right here, through the mess of warped geological and archaeological data. All right, folks, buckle up, because we're diving deep into the absolute geological and archaeological dumpster fire that is the Great Sphinx. Seriously, this thing is like the ultimate historical mystery box, and it's sitting right there on the Giza Plateau judging us all. It's not just some giant statue you ordered from Amazon, right? Nope, this bad boy is a genuine monolith, meaning it was carved in situ. That's archaeologist speak for carved right out of the bedrock where it sits. So its entire physical existence is tied directly to the terrifyingly ancient rock structure of the Giza Plateau itself. The real dark secret here isn't who it looks like, it's the actual material it's made of and how that stone decided to play the long game against Father Time. Did it fight back, or did it just surrender? That's the $64,000 question. First off, let's talk foundation, because that's where things get super old. The base of Giza, where the Sphinx and those massive pyramids are chilling, is made of this ancient sedimentary limestone, dating all the way back to the Eocene epoch. We're talking pre-dinosaur levels of old, like potentially over 100 million years ago. This rock is basically the compressed geological equivalent of ancient sea creatures dying and piling up, getting squished under insane pressure over eons. The fact that the Sphinx was literally jackhammered, metaphorically, okay, out of this specific stone immediately wires it into the geological timeline. This explains why the Sphinx looks so different from statues carved later. The original sculptor was stuck with whatever raw materials Mother Nature coughed up, and those materials were bound by harsh geological rules. It's like being given a block of granite when you wanted marble. You gotta work with what you got.
Now, let's pivot to what the standard archaeological playbook screams at us. The consensus, backed by all the cool hieroglyphs and dusty old scrolls, slams the Sphinx firmly into the 4th Dynasty time frame, right around 2550 to 2450 BC. They think King Khafre, the dude who was guarding the Giza necropolis as the god Horus, commissioned this masterpiece. This lines up perfectly with the architectural and religious vibes of that era. Even the famous dream stele, which is way more recent, like 18th dynasty, so much later, gives a nod to King Khafre's page, which totally bolsters this written evidence theory. And you know the big guns in the field, like Dr. Zahi Hawass, they shut down the wild theories about hidden cities or massive secret chambers hard. They've used ground-penetrating radar, GPR, and tons of digging, sometimes 20 meters deep, and they keep shouting, "Nope, nothing. The bedrock is solid." It's like shaking a giant piggy bank and hearing nothing but rock inside. So, according to the establishment, the Sphinx is Khafre's masterpiece, carved from Eocene ocean slime, and there are no secret Mario tunnels underneath. All right, buckle up, folks, because we are diving deep into one of the most mind-bending geological mysteries out there, differential erosion. Seriously, this is where the Sphinx starts looking less like a magnificent statue and more like a badly designed action figure that's been left out in the sun for way too long. We're talking about the stubborn head versus the crumbling body. Picture this. You've got this giant stone cat, right? And the top part, the head, is sitting there like it just finished a 2-hour gym session, totally buff and resisting every single microscopic dust particle Mother Nature throws at it. But the body underneath, it's basically dissolving. It's like one guy at the party is drinking bottled water, and his buddy is chugging cheap soda that's dissolving the cup and his insides. Why the massive split personality? It all boils down to the ancient construction materials, the sedimentary layers. The head, my friends, is chiseled out of that super tough, high-quality bedrock layer. It's the premium stuff, the granite of the Giza Plateau, which means it's got serious street cred against time and erosion. It basically said, "Nah, I'm good." But, and this is the huge but, the neck and the entire torso, those sections were carved out of lower layers, and these layers are porous, they're crumbly, they're the geological equivalent of a stale Ritz cracker left out in the humidity. Wind and water just saw these softer bits and were like, yes, target acquired. They munched through that soft stone like it was Doritos. In fact, the damage was so bad, so noticeable, that people way back, like during the reign of Pharaoh Thutmose IV, had to swoop in with bricks and do emergency structural support. They were basically putting tiny stone band-aids on a crumbling giant. Now, here's where it gets spicy and causes massive debates among the archaeology bros. These huge differences in rock hardness, this geological unevenness, have convinced some hardcore geologists to look at the whole timeline and go, hold up. They look at the erosion patterns, which look like they were carved by absolutely monumental floods that don't quite line up with the traditional timeline of the Old Kingdom pharaohs. It's like seeing a perfectly preserved 1950s Chevy truck that somehow has modern Tesla components. You gotta question the history. Speaking of structural integrity, let's talk about what's underneath the Sphinx. We've all heard the epic legends, right? The lost city narrative, the secret hall of records hidden deep below, full of ancient secrets. Every movie trailer has teased this. However, the real-world archaeologists are delivering a reality check that is decidedly less Indiana Jones and more, actually? They're saying, whoa, pump the brakes on the secret underground city plans. What they found isn't some vast network of secret chambers. Nope. These rumored tunnels are mostly just shallow surface features, scrapes and divots resulting from the original quarrying job, or maybe some greedy treasure hunters centuries later trying to tunnel into the body like they were robbing a bank vault.
And you know Dr. Zahi Hawass, the rock star Egyptologist? He's been super firm on this. Any deep voids that ground-penetrating radar thinks it sees, he calls those digital ghosts, total optical illusions on the screen. He basically says, nice try, radar, but you're seeing things. So what is actually there?
The archaeologists concede there are 4 documented shallow passages embedded right in the Sphinx's body. They don't go deep, folks. They are surface-level scratches, not gateways to Atlantis. All right, so we got to tackle the biggest rumor swirling around the Sphinx, which is, of course, the whole lost city down there thing. You know how every time someone looks at a cool ancient structure, they immediately jump to, it's got secret tunnels leading to the Hall of Records filled with alien tech. Classic. So some early geophysical scans, we're talking some old-school surveys from like Tokyo and Florida expeditions, they looked underneath and saw some bumps, like weird hollow spots in the sonar readings in front and behind the big guy. Naturally, this lit the internet on fire. People were like, bam, proof, subterranean metropolis incoming. But hold the phone, folks. The actual Egyptian scientific consensus? They basically looked at those scans and went, nah, that's just old plumbing. Seriously, they say those supposed cavities aren't secret doorways to Atlantis, they're most likely just potholes left by some seriously ambitious, slightly overzealous European adventurers back in the 1800s who were digging around looking for ancient pirate gold. Or even less excitingly, they could just be structures designed way back when just to collect rainwater. It's the ultimate buzzkill, right? No hidden treasure maps down there, I promise. Now here's the real geological mic drop moment. Scientists literally drilled straight down. We're talking a direct scientific probe 20 meters deep, which is like 6 stories straight into the bedrock. And guess what? Solid rock. The Sphinx is essentially a giant unmoving hunk of limestone. No secret basements, no hidden pathways, just prime, dense bedrock. While these little surface trenches might give us the creeps and feed our obsession with ancient secrets, because let's be honest, mysteries are awesome, they are absolutely not gateways to some buried legendary city. It's a dud, folks. Total snooze fest, geologically speaking. Okay, but wait, we've got a serious time warp coming up next, because while the mainstream archaeological date for the Sphinx is firmly planted around 2500 BCE during the reign of Khafre, the Pharaoh guy, some truly radical geological and astronomical evidence dropped in the 90s that flipped the whole timeline upside down. It's like someone found a receipt proving your grandpa actually drove a flying car. These radical theories suggest the Sphinx is way, way older, pushing its birthday back thousands of years, maybe even to around 10,500 BCE. Can you even imagine? Entered the rock star of this timeline controversy, Robert Schoch, a sharp geologist straight out of Boston University. Now, Schoch wasn't interested in the hieroglyphs or the statues. He was looking at the actual body of the Sphinx itself. Think of the Sphinx like a giant sun-baked concrete statue in your backyard. Schoch noticed something wild. The deep vertical erosion grooves and the heavy horizontal weathering patterns cut into the statue's massive body, they just didn't look like the typical patterns caused by the desert wind blowing sand around for a few millennia. That's usually just fine grit sandpapering. Bzz, incorrect weather pattern for the desert. Schoch looked at that deep damage and said, whoa, buddy, this kind of heavy sloughing off erosion requires serious sustained downpours and catastrophic flooding. He deduced that this level of structural damage could only have happened during a prolonged wet period, specifically the pluvial age, which scientifically wrapped up around 9000 BCE. If he's right, that means some seriously advanced civilization, way, way before the established pharaohs we know, must have been building this thing. That's straight up mind-blowing. To back up his theory, Schoch pointed out something else that's super weird. The head. It looks ridiculously small compared to the enormous lion body, right? He suggests the original head, which might have been a lion's head or something else entirely, got pummeled by all that ancient rain, was totally wrecked, and then the Egyptians much later came along, found the battered body, and basically gave it a fresh coat of paint by recarving the top into the pharaoh's familiar human visage. That's some serious historical remodeling.
All right, hold on to your flat-brimmed hats because we're taking the Schoch theory and slamming it head-on into the work of some serious astronomer dude named Robert Bauval. This guy basically took the Great Pyramids of Giza and said, nope, these aren't just pointy tombs, they're a giant cosmic blueprint. Boval hooked up his computer and started simulating the night sky as it looked way back in the day. And guess what popped out? A match so ridiculously perfect it's like finding the exact winning lottery ticket from 12,500 years ago. He figured out that around 10,500 BC, before basically everything we thought was ancient, at the crack of dawn during the spring equinox, that heliacal rising jazz, the Sphinx, that massive lion body, human head legend, it was staring dead straight at the constellation Leo rising on the horizon. Boom! This isn't just a coincidence, folks. Boval says this precise celestial traffic jam is ironclad proof that the Sphinx was carved way back then and that the pyramids are all part of one super ancient civilization. It's like saying we built this thing to point exactly at the zodiac sign we were born under millennia later. Wild, right? The geological smackdown. Yardangs, and the wind's veto on water damage. Now, every time someone brings up this lost Atlantis vibe for the Sphinx, the regular card-carrying geologists show up like buzzkills at a party holding up spreadsheets of boring rocks. They're looking at the idea that massive, catastrophic floods carved the Sphinx, and they're like, nah, fam, that's not how geology works. See, the Giza Plateau is made of limestone, but it's not uniform. It's like a giant, poorly mixed layer cake from the Mokotom Formation. You've got hard stuff layered right next to crumbly soft stuff. This difference in toughness is what causes the erosion we see, not some biblical downpour. Guys like Pharaoh Khafre jumped back in with the geological term that sounds like a power tool, the Yardang theory. Think of a yardang like a rock formation that Mother Nature's sandpaper, wind loaded with sand, sculpts over eons in the desert. Lab simulations showed that when you blast these uneven layer cakes with air currents, whoosh, the soft parts erode faster, leaving behind shapes that look exactly like crouching animals. The hard bits, like the Sphinx's head, which is tougher rock, stand strong, while the soft bits, like the body and neck, get eaten away. The fact that we constantly have to patch up the Sphinx with new blocks of stone, literally gluing layers on, proves those lower sections are weak against regular weathering. So, no need to invent world-ending floods to explain the wear and tear. The debate rages. Is this the masterpiece of Pharaoh Khafre, or is it the faint fingerprint of a civilization hiding in the strata? Deep chambers and subterranean secrets. Geophysics versus ground truth. The dirt beneath the Sphinx has always been the forbidden candy jar for conspiracy theorists everywhere. We're talking ultimate top-tier lost city theories, and the tools used to look beneath the surface, man, they range from shovels and archaeological brushes to next-level satellite radar, and the results are giving everyone whiplash. Whispers of mystery, early scans, and empty promises. The tech treasure hunt for hidden voids kicked off decades ago. Back in '87, a team from the University of Tokyo used electromagnetic surveys and picked up signals suggesting a passage running north-south and maybe a water pocket. Then, in '96, the University of Florida team basically confirmed, yep, there are definitely chambers down there. But the Egyptian archaeologists are quick to toss cold water on that fire, arguing those readings are just natural cracks in the rock, or maybe holes dug by some Indiana Jones wannabe looking for treasure.
Into the abyss, scary Doppler tomography claims. The whole thing blew up when some Italian research teams started touting some seriously next-gen tech, advanced Doppler tomography. This system allegedly uses super-precise satellite radar to map seismic movements and create 3D maps of what's under the ground. These alleged scans supposedly revealed an insane, massive vertical shaft surrounded by a spiral staircase plunging down from the base of the Sphinx. And it allegedly connects to two square structures at depths that sound like they belong on the moon. One chamber supposedly 2,000 feet down, that's like 6 football fields deep, and another sitting 4,000 feet below the surface.
Researchers immediately tied these supposed structures to the legendary Hall of Records, claiming a unified architectural plan from a civilization predating the pharaohs. Seriously, 2,000 and 4,000 feet? That's a physics nightmare considering the limestone composition of the Giza Plateau. All right, buckle up, buttercups, because we're about to dive into the deep end of the archaeological kiddie pool, where the history books go to die and the wild theories take over. We are talking about the Chamber of Records and Lost Cities, the spiritual terror of pseudo-archaeology. So, the Great Sphinx, right? It's not just some giant sandy cat statue chilling in Egypt anymore. Nah, in the minds of the alternative history squad, this thing has become this super secret locked safe that supposedly holds the real, terrifying history of humanity. Think of it like this. Science is over there dusting off pottery shards and checking carbon dates like a librarian, totally focused on the actual physical evidence. But these folks, they are diving headfirst into the mythical deep end, crafting these epic stories around every crack and crevice. And we gotta slap a big, giant pseudo-archaeology alert sticker on all that narrative stuff. The main event, the Chamber of Records and the Cosmic Link. The absolute #1 centerpiece of all the secret hole speculation is this legendary Chamber of Records. The rumor mill suggests this is a gigantic, buried library. I mean huge, stuffed wall to wall with the secret history from civilizations that vanished way before the pharaohs even knew how to make a decent sun hat. We're talking about the mythical city of Atlantis, only this time it's supposedly locked away right under the nose of the Sphinx. This whole legendary terror show is built on 3 major pillars. First up, we had the psychic heavy hitter Eder Casey. This dude, the famous sleeping prophet, dropped some major bombshells in his spiritual ramblings, claiming this chamber was chilling out under the Sphinx's right shoulder. And get this, he prophesied it would be unlocked in 1998 to usher in a new era for humanity. How's that for a spoiler alert that didn't pan out? People treat this chamber like it's the ultimate Akashic record, a cosmic filing cabinet holding every secret thought and event that ever was, supposedly built by some superior race of intelligent beings way back around 10,500 BCE. And that's not even the craziest part. Some theories zoom right past the library concept and claim the chamber is actually some kind of frequency network or a holographic concept, accessible only through specific secret vocal imprints. Whoa, so now we're mixing up dusty old stones with sound waves and totally mangled metaphysics. It's like someone found a cool rock and decided it was the secret Wi-Fi password to the universe.
Now, these lost city theories didn't just hang around in the corners, they blew up, thanks in huge part to the tag team duo of Schock and Baval. These guys throw down theories that smack the accepted timeline right in the face. First, you got Robert Schock. He looks at the erosion patterns on the Sphinx, the water damage specifically, and screams, "Hold up! This thing had to be carved way back around 10,500 BCE." He's basically pointing his finger at the desert and saying there was a great civilization here way before the dynasties even started. Then, bam, enter Robert Baval with his astrological super sleuthing. He lines up the Sphinx with the stars and finds that the Sphinx was gazing directly at the constellation Leo when it rose around 10,450 BCE. He argues this alignment is absolutely not some cosmic coincidence. It's a deliberate timestamp left by an ancient, super-advanced culture. See how this works? These narratives become the foundation, so anytime scientists discover a little hollow spot or a cavity near the Sphinx, instantly these theories scream, "Aha! See? Proof of a massive secret tunnel network linked to lost civilizations and weird energy concepts." They completely, totally ignore the totally mundane, scientifically sound geological explanations. It's like they're driving down the interstate, see a speed bump, and immediately declare it proof of alien landing gear. Crazy, right? We gotta look past the glittery space-age cover story and see what's actually holding the structure up.
All right, buckle up, buttercups, because we're about to dive into the ultimate showdown: science fact versus conspiracy theory Thunderdome. So, you've got this tidal wave of wild stories floating around, right? People are screaming about secret chambers and ancient alien tech. But when you line up all that narrative hype against what actual archaeology says, bam! Traditional archaeology just stands there, shoulders shrugged, looking at all this wild speculation and slapping a big fat label on it: fake archaeology. Basically, it's like someone showing up to a Michelin star cooking competition claiming they made a 5-course meal using only a microwave and a kazoo. It breaks all the rules, people. And leading the charge against this madness, none other than the legendary Dr. Zahi Hawass, the Indiana Jones of Egyptology, who has been throwing down hard facts against these wild claims. Get this, they dug deep. We're talking like 20 meters deep. That's like trying to find your phone when you dropped it down 3 stories of an apartment building. And what did they find? The Sphinx is carved straight out of solid bedrock, a huge hunk of Giza Plateau stone, totally solid. They found zero evidence of the massive secret hallways everyone is dreaming about. Now sure, they found 4 little tunnels, but those, nope, not secret alien launch pads. They're just old quarry marks, or maybe spots where they tried to collect rainwater way back when. Totally mundane, folks. But wait, the conspiracy theorists aren't done. They recently started shouting about discovering massive rooms, thousands of feet down. We're talking 2,000 to 4,000 feet deep, which is insane. They used some fancy radar scans to claim this, but the established experts, they roasted those claims faster than you can microwave a Hot Pocket. They called it a digital mirage, something cooked up by the true history obsessives who just need there to be secret stuff hidden under there. See, the allure of this stuff feeds that human craving for secret history, right? It's like finding a hidden level in a video game, except it turns the Sphinx into this massive stage for wild guessing games that completely ditch the actual, rigorous scientific method. We gotta keep it real, people.
Conclusion time. Bridging the insane gap between fancy tech and scary field evidence. The entire mystery surrounding the Sphinx, especially these buzzing rumors about mysterious pillars and underground cities, is this super creepy intersection where legit archaeology meets sketchy geophysical surveying. When you actually analyze these claims, it pops out like a zit on prom night. There's a glaring, massive methodological gap that demands we get way more strict and way more transparent with the science. We need hard evidence, not just cool-looking blurry radar images. The core battle: solid rock versus underground labyrinth. This whole conflict boils down to 2 completely opposite views of reality, right? On one side, you have the classic archaeological view, hammered home by Dr. Hawass with actual dirt and rock evidence. The Sphinx is a monolith, solid as a brick house, with no giant hidden rooms leading to lost civilizations. Sure, there are 4 minor surface tunnels, but that's it. On the flip side, you've got these alternative theories, often fueled by weird geophysical scans, some Japanese, some Italian, claiming they have data showing tunnels and chambers reaching down like 4,000 feet. They're whispering about a vast subterranean city built by some lost, super-advanced civilization. This contradiction is wild, and it needs a super precise, systematic breakdown. Why? Because these theories conveniently line up with fantasy narratives like the Hall of Records, which promises us to hand us the keys to all unknown human history. Who doesn't want that cheat code? The tech challenge and the extreme depth problem. The single biggest issue, the methodological chasm, is the massive over-reliance on indirect tech like Doppler satellite radar, trying to pierce truly epic depths. The claim that they found massive rooms 600 meters down, that sets off every scientific alarm bell in my head. Gear struggles big time to punch through the messy, uneven sedimentary rock layers of the Giza Plateau. This makes interpreting the returning signals super dodgy.
Archaeologists who know their stuff have basically called these findings digital hallucinations. Why? Because natural geological quirks like weird fissures or pockets of groundwater can look exactly like massive architectural features when you're just staring at survey data that hasn't been backed up with actual physical poking and prodding. It's like seeing a Rorschach ink blot and declaring it proof of a secret alien spaceship landing site. Crazy, right? We gotta look past the glittery space-age cover story and see what's actually holding the structure up. Whoa, 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 hold the phone. So, before we bail out of this ancient mystery deep dive, let's just rewind and hit the rewind button on that massive realization we just had. We started looking for secret underground pyramids built by space wizards, right? And what did we find? We found out that sometimes all those super cool futuristic scans are just showing us dirt, groundwater, and maybe some goofy geological hiccups looking exactly like alien architecture. It's like when you stare at a cloud and swear you see a perfect T-Rex riding a unicycle, but it's just condensation. Seriously, we gotta stop letting radar signals trick us into thinking the Great Pyramids need some secret hidden basement level. So, here is the absolute rock-solid takeaway that needs to be etched onto a stone tablet, preferably one above ground. To actually squash this epic decades-long debate, the one that keeps history nerds up at night, we gotta get real. We need a super official, completely neutral, no funny business allowed summit. Think of it like the UN but for dead pharaohs and rock analysis. We need a joint task force, an international dream team assembled from top-tier archaeologists and geologists, all sworn to secrecy until they spill the totally transparent data beans. This isn't about who yells the loudest, it's about peer review, baby. Finally, we gotta do some real-world damage control on the narrative. We need to educate the general population, that means you guys, on the difference between a sexy blockbuster movie plot, the dazzling hypothesis, and the cold, hard, sometimes boring reality of verifiable history. We have to keep hammering home that the sheer, undeniable, awesome majesty of ancient Egypt stands tall and proud right here, visible to the naked eye. It's built on the massive structures we can see, not just on some squiggly lines from a radar reading that might just be a slightly damp patch of sand. Boom! So there you have it. We debunked the secret bunker theory by reminding everyone that sometimes the most amazing mysteries are solved not by cooler tech, but by getting your boots dirty. If your mind was blown by how often surveys can trick us, smash that like button. Seriously, give that button a good, honest smack. And hey, while you're down there, hit subscribe so you don't miss the next time we try to find out if Stonehenge runs on AA batteries. Let me know in the comments below, what other historical facts do you think are just weird groundwater pockets? Alright guys, catch you in the next one. Peace out. If you found this video valuable, hit like to help us reach more people and subscribe to be the first to know the truth. If you want to support our journey, consider joining channel membership or supporting us via PayPal. All links are in the description below. Your support